Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 best cavalry archer civilizations in AoE2, and I think this video is perfectly timed because I've been making a few other videos about how cav archers are making a huge return to the meta and how pros are using them in very high effectiveness on the rank ladder. So if you guys want to give the cav archers a go, I felt like why not make a top 5 list and get you guys started on the best cav archer civilizations. Now there are a bunch of civilizations I left out that also have really solid cav archers, so if you guys want to play cav archers with those civilizations, feel free to go ahead. And honestly, one thing I'm noticing is that you can basically go cav archers with any civilization as long as the situation is right for a ranged mobile high damage unit. The only downsides, of course, is the fact that it's quite expensive and it requires a lot of upgrades, so just keep that in mind. But pretty much any civilization that has access to them can go for them to varying degrees of success. But here are the top 5, and starting off with number 5, I've actually got 2 civilizations because I couldn't decide. Number 1 is the Vietnamese and the other one is the Turks. So these two are both tied at number 5 because they get similar bonuses and they just come in at different times of the game. So Vietnamese get a nice 10 HP boost that comes in from the start of the game, which is really nice to get like 80 HP cav archers post Bloodlines and Castle Age. Those things are absolute monsters and very hard to deal with. But the Turks get an even better bonus, except it comes in the form of unique tech, giving cav archers plus 20 HP, and it's a Castle Age unique tech, so technically you can get it in Castle Age as well. But of course, it's just 10 more HP compared to the Vietnamese bonus. The Vietnamese bonus also goes up to 92 HP in Imperial Age compared to the Turks 100 HP. So as you can see, the bonus is quite close in Imperial Age as well. The only difference really is that Turks get better upgrades on their cav archers because they also get parts and tactics, whereas the Vietnamese don't. So long term, Turks have much better cav archers, but because Vietnamese get the extra HP for free and you don't have to pay for it and it kicks in right away, I felt like it's just as good for different reasons. So whichever one you prefer a scaling civ or an early Castle Age cav archer civ, both are completely fine. I personally prefer the Vietnamese because I feel like the earlier I get the bonus, the better it is for my cav archers to start, massing them up and taking control of the game. Whereas some situations, Turks will definitely be better. I'll leave that one up to you guys. Moving on to number 4, we've got a civilization that doesn't even come close to having the best cav archer in late game. However, they get a huge discount on cav archers and that more than makes up for it. And of course, the civilization is the very classic and OG Huns. Now the Huns have a very easy time getting to cav archers because they're naturally going to be playing stable into ranges, whether they're doing scouts into archers or just like archer into scouts. They're always going to have a mix of stables and ranges. That's what Huns do. They're just a cavalry and cavalry archer civilization. And so getting to cav archers is really an easy task, and it's made even easier with the 10% discount you get in Castle Age and the 20% discount you get in Imperial Age. This discount isn't absolutely crazy, but it does help you build up your cav archers a lot easier, and it does facilitate 3 range CA, whereas other civilizations might only be able to afford 2 ranges unless they're going for an all-in. Getting the CA massed up early is really important because a cav archer, like other range units, perform better the more you have of them, and cav archers in particular are very good at staying alive because of their high mobility. So when you mass up this unit early and quickly, you can get to big masses of CA and start basically one-shotting everything and chasing army down, which is the dream scenario for any cav archer play. Now the only reason Huns aren't higher up on the list is because they are lacking some crucial upgrades in the late game, and they don't really get any bonuses that make their cav archers better than generic cav archers. So they're lacking the last armor upgrade from the blacksmith, and on top of that, no unique techs buffing the cav archers and making them stronger than generic ones. And so in the end, Huns only get a discounted cav archer, but other than that, more or less a generic one. I personally value the discount quite highly, but I'll leave that one up to you guys as to whether or not you'd rather the cheaper unit or the stronger unit. Moving on to number 3, we've got a civilization that has recently gotten a very tiny buff to cav archers, but it's worth mentioning. It is the Magyars. Now, a lot of people would put the Magyars a little higher on the list, and I think you'd be correct in doing so if you place your arguments properly. It was honestly very debatable between 3, 2, and 1 on this list, which is crazy. I never really debate between 3 civs, but in this case, the Magyars are so close to being some of the best cav archers, if not the best cav archers in the game. But the reason I held them back is because I felt like you didn't get the bonuses kicked in fast enough. Yeah, the late game Magyar cav archers are insane. Recurve bow giving +1 attack and +1 range on top of having fully upgraded cav archers is insane. And on top of that, they got a minor buff recently that gives their cav archers +25% faster creation speed. That's in fact their team bonus, which I think is a nice buff similar to Huns, allowing you to mass up these cav archers a little bit earlier. So now the 2 Magyar ranges are going to be just as effective as 2.5 ranges from a generic civilization, allowing you to mass up cav archers a little bit quicker, which I already mentioned was a very nice thing to do. Magyars have one of the best scaling cav archers in the game, and and the late game Magyar Cavalry is one of the best units in late game period. Like across all civilizations, across all units, it is an absolute beast, and it might even be the most useful unit in 1v1 Arabia. The only issue I have with Magyars is that they just have a harder time getting to late game because they don't have an economy bonus to turbo them there. So although you get all these nice bonuses for the Cavalry, and although it's a really strong unit, you have to pay for all these upgrades on top of having to pay for the unique tech. So oftentimes it'll take you quite a while to get to like the late game powerhouse Magyar CA, and usually you just spend most of the game playing with generic CA that are just produced a little bit faster. Still, they deserve a high spot on the list because of how high their ceiling is with regards to their Cavalries. Moving on to number 2, we've got a civilization that is absolutely insane at a lot of things, but they especially thrive with the Cavalries, and this is the Mongols. Now, the Mongols are an absolutely incredible civ when it comes to raiding and high mobility units, getting access to really strong units like the Steppe Lancer with extra HP, Light Cav with extra HP, and faster firing Cavalries. For this video, we'll focus on the faster firing Cavalry, and I personally believe this is one of the best bonuses to have on the Cavalry because it makes microing them silky smooth, and it makes kiting knights and enemy Light Cav an easy task, a trivial task. A kindergarten kid can micro Mongol Cavalries against Teuton Knights, okay? Against any knights, but especially Teuton Knights. No hate on the Teutons, much love, guys. But the point stands, the Mongol Cavalry is insane to micro and really strong. I also like this bonus because faster firing will help you in all scenarios. It's good against knights, as I mentioned. It's also good against villagers when raiding. It's good against archers and skirms when trading. It's good against siege if you want to go in, shoot, and run out fast. So it's basically good in all situations, and it makes their Cavalries better than generic ones across the board. The only thing holding Mongols back is that they're lacking a couple techs in late game, like the last armor upgrade, so they have the same upgrades on their Cavalries compared to the Huns in late game. And it's also worth noting that they have a Mangudai unique unit that is a little bit stronger than Cavalry if you're able to get to it, but I personally feel like getting to Cavalries is slightly easier these days, and they do the same trick, except against siege where the Mangudai shines a little bit more. But regardless whether you're playing Mangudai or Cavalry, Mongols would be one of the best Cavalry civilizations in the game, and it's honestly my go-to civilization to recommend Cavalry play for beginner players. Number 1 just happens to be a little bit better if you ask me. Before I show you guys number 1 though, I want to quickly talk about an honorable mention, and that is the Georgians Cavalry. Now, the Georgian Cavalry is actually very weak when you look at the upgrades. They're lacking Thumb Ring, which is a huge deal, and they're also lacking the last armor upgrade. But Georgians have a really strong bonus that makes all of their cavalry heal. Their Cavalry can heal while fighting, while running anywhere. This is such an insane bonus, and this single-handedly could put Georgians at number 1 best Cavalry in the game in specific situations, because having a mobile unit that is ranged and also healing is so good for hitting and running, kiting, jumping into raid, and jumping out before any unit dies, and getting that passive healing stacking throughout the game as you run around and make safe plays with them. What ends up happening is that the counters to Cavalry, like Scorpions and Skirmishers, aren't able to one-shot Cavalries effectively, so you end up doing chip damage across a bunch of them, pushing them away. But Georgians are the one civilization that don't have to care about that. They can run in, trade against 1 or 2 Scorpions, and run out. As long as they don't lose any units, the units will be back to full HP within a few minutes, and you have a full HP massive Cavalry that's always running around, forcing you to engage and forcing you to trade with them. It's a really oppressive tactic, and honestly, you could make the argument for this to be the one single-handedly best Cavalry civ in the game for that reason alone. But it's the kind of thing where you have to play against it to truly understand how frustrating it is, and I wanted to make this list a bit more objective and a little less about like certain frustrating situations. Overall, the Georgian CA is nothing crazy in late game, but it's still very strong in that mid game. Alright, moving on to number 1, guys, we've got the Tatars. The Tatars is, in my opinion, the perfect Cavalry civilization. You get a mix of strong early game Cavalries and also really strong late game powerhouse Cavalries as well when you consider the unique tech. Basically, you get free Thumb Ring and free Parthian tactics, which gives you a power spike in Castle Age and a power spike in Imperial Age when playing with Cavalries. This is completely different to other civilizations in the game that get access to these techs but have to pay for them. Getting them for free gives you that nice power spike, lets you put pressure on your opponent with stronger tech without having to pay for that tech, allowing you to get more Cavalries out or to spend those resources expanding your economy. It's that flexibility in Castle and Imperial Age that I really love with the Tatars. But on top of that, they get fully upgraded generic CA, including all blacksmith techs, and they also get a unique tech that gives the Cavalries +1 melee armor and +1 pierce armor, making their Cavalries extremely tanky in the late game. Now, generally speaking, for range units, I definitely prefer attack and damage and also range, which is why Magyar Cavalries are definitely better than Tatar Cavalries in late game, all upgrades included. But the smoothness of Tatars getting there with free upgrades along the way is enough to push them over the edge and give them the number 1 slot. Like I said, it's very close between the first 3, but I personally prefer the Tatars as the best Cavalry civilization. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys want more content from me, check out my Twitch for my live stream and my Patreon for extensive guides and exclusive videos on how to get better, alongside my build order sheet, which features like 20 custom build orders that are the same ones that I use to dominate the top of the ladder. Both of those links will be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.